The xenobiology lecture hall buzzed with the usual morning chatter as students from 17 different species settled into their seats. Anna sat near the back, her human frame seeming almost fragile compared to the hulking Krathax beside her or the crystalline Vashani across the aisle. She traced idle patterns on her datapad, barely looking up as Professor Zelvoth began the day's lesson on comparative physiology. Jack slipped into the seat beside her, late as usual. His grin was apologetic as he set down his bag. Traffic in the transport tubes was insane. "You mean you overslept again?" Anna whispered back, smirking. "Details." Professor Zelvoth's 4 eyes swiveled toward them, and they fell silent. The Quellan instructor continued, her translator converting her clicking speech into standard galactic. "Today we examine the primitive defense mechanisms of pre-spacefaring species. Note how these evolutionary dead ends rely on physical confrontation rather than civilized discourse." Anna's jaw tightened slightly, but she said nothing. It was the same barely disguised condescension she'd faced since arriving at the Galactic Academy. Humans were newcomers, barely a century into the wider cosmos, and most species viewed them as curiosities at best, barbarians at worst. The lecture droned on. Professor Zelvoth displayed images of various species in their natural habitats, emphasizing their adorable survival instincts before they'd achieved enlightenment. When a holovid of early humans hunting with spears appeared, several students chittered with amusement. Then Krixtal stood up. The Vorthian was massive, nearly 3 meters of scaled muscle and cold calculation. He'd been a vocal critic of human admission to the academy, calling them Deathworld primitives in multiple campus forums. His species had evolved on a paradise world, abundant food, mild climate, no natural predators. Violence was a distant concept in their psychology, studied only as an academic curiosity. "Professor," Krixtal said, his voice rumbling through the hall, "I propose a practical demonstration. Let us see if these humans truly retain their savage instincts." Before Professor Zelvoth could respond, Krixtal drew a ceremonial blade from his robes, a traditional Vorthian artifact, but sharp nonetheless. He moved toward Anna with surprising speed, the knife held in what he probably thought was a threatening manner. "Show us, human. Show us the fear response of a Deathworlder faced with—" He didn't finish the sentence. Anna's expression shifted. Not to fear, but to something that made Jack instinctively lean away. Her lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. A predator's smile, the kind that evolution had perfected over millions of years of being both hunter and hunted, on a planet that tried to kill its children daily. The room seemed to freeze. Every species present had some deep ancestral memory of what that expression meant, even if they'd never seen it before. Anna moved. One moment she was seated. The next, she'd closed the distance, her hand a blur. The knife was no longer in Krixtal's grip. The Vorthian stared at his empty hand, then at Anna, who now held the blade casually, testing its balance with the familiarity of someone who'd handled weapons since childhood. "You know what's funny?" Anna said conversationally, still smiling that terrible smile. "You're absolutely right. We are from a death world. Do you know what that means, Krixtal?" The Vorthian stumbled backward, his scales paling to a sickly white. Around the room, students pressed themselves against their seats, suddenly aware of the apex predator in their midst. "It means," Anna continued, "that Earth tried to kill us every single day. Predators with teeth and claws, microorganisms invisible to the naked eye, weather that could freeze or roast us, plants that could poison with a touch, other humans who wanted our resources." She flipped the knife once, catching it effortlessly. "We didn't just survive, we became the dominant species. We turned rocks into tools, tools into weapons, weapons into art forms." Jack watched with a mixture of pride and concern. He'd seen Anna in the combat training simulations where she routinely defeated opponents twice her size. But this was different. This was her channeling something primal, something that the comfortable species of the galaxy had bred out of themselves generations ago. "Every human child," Anna said softly, "learns basic self-defense before they learn calculus." It's not savage. It's survival. And you just tried to threaten me with a knife." She tossed the blade away. It clattered harmlessly across the floor. "Lesson over." Professor Selvoth stood frozen, all four eyes wide. The usual academic detachment had evaporated, replaced by genuine understanding and perhaps a touch of fear. Anna returned to her seat as if nothing had happened, her demeanor shifting back to the friendly, approachable student she'd been moments before. But everyone in the room had seen the truth beneath the surface. Humans weren't primitive or savage. They were simply equipped for a universe far more dangerous than most species could imagine. Crickstall left the lecture hall without another word, his confidence shattered. Jack leaned over, keeping his voice low. "You know you're going to be a legend by lunch, right?" Anna shrugged, pulling up her notes. "Maybe they'll stop calling us cute now. I think you've moved straight past cute into terrifying." "Good." Professor Zelvoth cleared her throat, her translator barely masking the tremor in her voice. Perhaps we should revise today's lesson plan. Would any of the human students care to give a presentation on Earth's environmental pressures and their evolutionary influence on human psychology?" Anna raised her hand, that same gentle smile now back on her face, the one that had fooled everyone before they'd seen what lay beneath. "I'd be happy to, Professor." As she walked to the front of the class, Jack couldn't help but grin. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity had known for millennia. Never underestimate the children of a Deathworld. They'd survive the worst their planet could throw at them. Everything else was easy by comparison.